big homie GOC. No one can do it better like this.
Choice FM family, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're listening around this big old globe. It's the DOC on the People's Station, back again with the incredible guest. It's been so long since we've heard from her. She is the star, the creator, and the host of her own Murdock Minute that you might have heard for the past few years right here on the People's Station. But she's back, and she's back in full effect. And we outside today to talk about the 2024 election leading up to it, voter registration, platforms, all of that good stuff and more, and how it affects you right here in the great state of North Carolina. Folks, give it up one time, two times, three times for Senator Natalie Murdock. Hello,
Hey,
hello, Queen.
Doc, you are far too kind with that introduction, but yeah, I had to take a little leave from the Murdoch Minute. We are keeping our heads down, flipping this state blue. But thank you so much for having me. We are going to make history right here in North Carolina. So looking forward to talking about this historic campaign.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now, first things first, how has life been for you on this trail?
Yeah, things have been really busy. I have been on the team since April in 2020. I was on the Biden-Harris team as well, focusing on African American engagement. For folks that missed it, we narrowly lost by 1.2% in 2020. And that was, we were in the midst of COVID. Things were remote. We were doing a lot of Zoom meetings. We couldn't do a lot in person until the very end of the campaign because we were being safe. And now that COVID is definitely still with us, but we've learned how to manage it. We have self-testing, folks are getting vaccinated. So we are doing a lot of big public events, have a rally coming up soon with the vice president come in here to Raleigh, but we were not able to do any of that just a few, in 2020, so it's a very, very different campaign. And that's why I jumped at the opportunity to join the campaign again, not knowing at the time that I was going to be a part of this historic election where we will elect the first woman, first Black woman, first Indian American to be president, but also jumped at the opportunity to stop Trump. He is the most harmful president that I think we could ever have. And am glad to literally, put my life on hold for a course of a few months for my community, for women, for people of color, for North Carolinians, North Carolina born and raised. And I know how harmful his presidency was for those 4 years, and willing to do everything to assist the campaign to make sure he doesn't go back. If North Carolina denies Donald Trump, our state, it makes it very difficult for him, if not impossible, to make it to the White House. So we are all in NNC.
I love it. I love it. And it's the speaking of the, because you say you keyed in on a couple of different factors that I don't want to touch on briefly, but the first being the curveball that we didn't really see coming of Kamala taking the reins, and you've got Biden passing that baton of the torch and going, you know
Passing
what?
the torch in time for the Olympics.
So how did that affect you in the running for the campaign? You said it's historic, you had no idea, but talk to me about the magnitude of something like this.
Great question, because we understand it's a lot to keep up with for members of the public. But as you can see, we really had a seamless transition. It was a choice left up to the president. He made the decision that he found to be best. And we are thrilled that we had a seamless transition and that he endorsed his vice president, our vice president, Kamala Harris, who's now at the top of the ticket. So we are now officially the Harris for President campaign. So it was a seamless transition here in North Carolina. We are continuing to work. We are a battleground state for folks that think that we can't do this. We know the numbers are there. Again, we only lost by 1.2%. I think that was around 70 some odd thousand votes. And so we're keeping our eye on the ball and have the support of the campaign. They are all in for North Carolina, which is why we'll have the vice president coming back to our state. And I think she's been throughout the course of her serving as vice president in the campaign, definitely over a number of minutes, but she's come a lot. She's come a lot.
Love us here in North Carolina. That's something that's been evident over the past four elections.
And along with the president and the first lady and the second gentleman, we did an entire Juneteenth swing with the second gentleman. So we were in various cities, the DNC chair, Jamie Harrison. We did a rural tour with him. So they are all in for North Carolina.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now I want to talk to you about that. You said that 1 point, how much, or what was the percentage again?
Only 1.2%.
1.2%. Now, we spoke before we got on the air. I believe that we were talking about how much or how big of an impact that Eastern North Carolina, that Central North Carolina, that Black voters on this part of the state will have on this election. Talk to me about that.
Yes, so we are being very aggressive with getting the vote out in Eastern North Carolina and across the state. So I also lived in the western part of the state for 5 years, and we have an office in Jackson County or the Cullowhee area. I was just with some voters in Robinson County last night. Folks are energized, ready to be activated. And throughout Eastern North Carolina, we know that if we get that Black vote up and out, which we will, we have Black voters for Harris. We did a tour. We've been in Greenville and other areas, Rocky Mount for that rural tour. We even went to Tarboro to a local barbershop with Jamie Harrison. So Eastern North Carolina, it's one of those areas where it's also not a monolith. There's a different flavor and spin to the various counties. And for one, we wanted to invest by getting offices out there. And that's the base of the campaign. That is how we're going to communicate the extreme MAGA agenda of Donald Trump. And we know the only way to do that is to show up. We have to physically show up in these communities, and that's what we're doing. We'll be having a number of back to school drops coming up in a little bit. I'll preview a little cuts for Kamala. We'll be going on at community events, at some barbershop tours, and working with the faith community. We were able to convene a group of pastors that are also very concerned about Project 2025 and how harmful that is. I think of everything that folks have been seeing. People are hearing the message of just how harmful Project 2025 is, and it is an extreme plan that MAGA Republicans want to put in place in a matter of 180 days that will gut public education, make it more difficult for a woman to control her body, and definitely harmful to these rural communities in Eastern North Carolina for everyone, but especially these rural communities in the East.
Insane, insane. We say
because these are programs that they really depend on, and with Project 2025, they want to get rid of them.
Lord have mercy. God save us all. It feels like we say this every election season, but this is really one of the most important, if not the most important, election that's coming up in November. Now, for those who have yet to register for whatever reason, we want to go ahead and clarify, right, Senator Murdock, how to properly register and not to fall for the gimmicks that you see on social media or Instagram. Click here and you're registered, and you show up, like we said before, to the polls and you got nothing. So talk to me about the proper proceeding and also the importance of registering.
Yeah, we really, really encourage folks. For one, there are a number of organizations out there, including the Harris for President campaign. We have an entire voter protection section. We've seen in other states like Georgia where voter suppression is real. A lot of that harmful legislation I've worked to fight as a legislator in my freshman year. I was on redistricting, and we're proactive with that. So we'll have some 3,000 volunteers across the state that will work to make sure if folks have questions at the polls, they'll have someone to call. We have a hotline that I'll be sure to get to you, where folks can call if they have questions. Some nonpartisan orgs are groups like Common Cause and Democracy NC. The NAACP will be doing a lot of work in this space. But when it comes to registration, if you have any questions, you can go to your local board of elections. We really need folks to fill out those forms in person. There are false links going around where people think they can just click a link on Instagram and register to vote. That is not true, but we are here to help. For that voter hotline, we will be sure to distribute that widely, probably even have ads on the radio about it so that people can get that accurate information. Do not assume. There will be so much misinformation on Instagram and TikTok and other mediums. Make sure you check with someone that knows the real rules, particularly for our students. You can register to vote where you go to college. But if you are still registered to vote at home, they can vote while they're at home. They can still do an absentee ballot, but you will now need to have 2 signatures instead of 1. You have to get it witnessed. We also have curbside voting for folks that want to just stay in their car and vote. So there's so many different ways to vote. We also have one of the longest early voting periods in the nation. So absentee ballots, you can already request that. But for early voting, you can do it all in one day. You can show up to vote, register, and vote the same day. Just as the backup, bring some proof of residency and your ID. For folks that need IDs, they can go to the local board of elections and make sure that they can get that ID printed out for free. We have board of election offices in every county, and do it now. Don't wait. Go ahead and get your ID so that you can vote. If you're a student, your photo ID is probably already good to go to use. But double check, do not wait to the last minute. You will have so much time to vote early, vote early, vote early, vote early.
Yes, please take heed to those words, ladies and gentlemen. We got a crazy decision that's going to be made this November, not just on the major scale in the presidents. We're talking about up and down the ballot, because what I've learned from the 08s and the 2012s is that if we don't vote down that ballot, then the guy at the top can't really make the decisions that he wants to. You get what I'm saying? So
And that's a big part of too what the Harris administration is about. She's about making her campaign, the legacy of the Biden-Harris administration. They're working to make it easier for people to vote. MAGA Republicans want to roll those rights back. They want to make it harder to vote. The horrible comments we heard a few days ago where Trump said, "Oh, if you come out and vote this time, it'll all be taken care of. You don't need to come and vote again." Those are words from someone that doesn't truly care about the right to vote. They only care about themselves. And the Harris administration, the work that she's doing with the president now, they are working to make sure we all will preserve our right to vote, especially as folks of color. I've had the opportunity to go to Selma, where we know Congressman John Lewis almost lost his life across that Pettus Bridge. And we're going to fight tooth and nail to not only preserve the right to vote, but make sure we have fair maps again and do everything we can to make sure everybody that wants to vote has that right, because everybody does not want them to preserve their rights. But President Biden, along with VP Harris, they want to preserve the right to vote for all people.
Love it. And there's some people who are counting on us to not vote, to not show up to the ballots. They're like, please, yeah, don't vote, don't come up, because that's still a vote. And theirs will cancel ours out. So I do appreciate the information, the wealth of knowledge, your sacrifices that you made, Senator, for just trying to make sure the community is good. You know, you're coming from North Carolina, you want to make sure North Carolina is good. Like Governor Roy Cooper, who took his hat out the ring and said, look, I'll be doggone if I leave this place in the hands of,
Yeah, I'm still sad about it. The Veep stakes are still going on and very exciting. And speaking of our governor, I would be remiss. We are in the midst of our reproductive week of action, and just the stark contrast of Donald Trump and JD Vance. JD Vance specifically, when it comes to reproductive rights and the right to have safe legal abortions that we know are safe. Over 50% of abortions are actually performed through medication. JD Vance wants no exceptions, even for rape and incest. So very extreme views. He wants a national ban on abortion. So there is a tour that's going on right now. We have some amazing folks that are in state. Katie Cox went viral when unfortunately she shared her story of having to leave the state of Texas, was denied healthcare that she needed to preserve her own life. And so she is here in North Carolina today. And it also has a direct correlation to Black maternal health. You know, I do a lot of work in that space. If you make it harder for these doctors to do their jobs, it also makes it harder for them to care for women that are having children. So with these abortion bans, when these doctors are micromanaged, they say, why should I stay here? Why should I stay in North Carolina? So when it comes to postpartum depression and the ability for women to have healthy births and have all the care they need throughout their pregnancy, with fewer doctors, it's going to be hard to do. So it's directly correlated to maternal health. Black maternal health. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from childbirth. So with Harris for president, you will get a president that is all in when it comes to maternal health issues. And again, the extreme MAGA Republicans with their Project 2025, they want to roll out a full abortion ban. And we have virtually a Southern ban. In North Carolina, we're down to 12 weeks. So a lot of folks are already going to Virginia to get the health care that they need. What if you have high blood pressure or diabetes and these other health risks? And we're telling you, oh, get in a car or get in a plane and go to another state because we cannot provide you with health care here in North Carolina. So that is a top issue this election. I represent Durham and we call ourselves the city of medicine. So to not be able to provide this health care to folks that need it the most, it will have a disproportionate impact on communities of color and the poor that don't have the money to go to a Virginia or another state. So those are the sorts of things that we're fighting for the Harris for President campaign right here in North Carolina.
Tooth to nail, and it is a never-ending fight, which is why I always say thank you for your service. We'll put you up there with the troops. No disrespect to the truth, but Natalie or Senator Murdock, forgive me before we head out here because I know you're a very busy woman. You got babies to kiss, things to sign, documents to fill out, the whole nine. Before we head out of here, can you leave myself and our listeners with some final thoughts, some things that are really on your mind when it comes to this whole I guess we'll call it a journey leading up to November?
Yeah, it is a journey. I also will end with back to kind of dispelling these myths. We have the vice president's back. Thrilled to be a part of this historic campaign. I want to end with reminding folks about her qualifications. She is ready day one. She was elected as district attorney in California, elected as attorney general, elected as U.S. senator. So she was not given anything. She has earned everything she has done. She is beyond ready on day one. She has more foreign policy experience than any other VP candidate, second only to current President Biden. She knows what she's doing. She's ready to do the job. As a prosecutor, she fought against abusers that abused children. Donald Trump was found guilty in a civil trial of being liable for sexual abuse. So I can't think of anyone else who can prosecute the case against Donald Trump than VP Harris. That is why he is fearful of debating Madam Vice President as a result of that. I'm looking forward to seeing that play out on the debate stage as well, but definitely we'll end with there is so much at stake. We have to be laser focused right here in North Carolina. We can deny Donald Trump another term in the White House. We do not need to go back to that crazy, chaotic time. We have to be locked in for 90 some odd days and make this happen right here in North Carolina. We can do it. We have seen an explosion of energy on the ground nationwide. Over 100,000 folks have signed up to donate, to be volunteers. New voter registrations. We talked about voter registration. Folks that are registering to vote for the same time, folks who are donating to campaigns for the same time. Just as like last weekend, we had a call with women across the state, Women for Harris. Over 1,080 women signed up for that call. We're having a Black Voters for Harris call tonight. We'll plug that. Anybody can join that wants to be a part of it. So this is an open, inclusive campaign of a coalition opposed to MAGA Republicans, Trump Republicans that want America to look a certain way. They don't want it to be inclusive. They don't believe everybody has a right to the American dream. So we've seen two completely different visions for the future of America. A vote for VP Harris as president is a vote for you to have equal opportunity to the American dream, to not be denied, to have full potential to do whatever it is you want to do and to not be restricted. So as African-American voters, we can make the difference. That is how we did it in 2020, and we can do it again in 2024. The way to prevent a Project 2025 is for the 2024 project, which is to vote for VP Harris for president.
Oh, see what you did there, and I like it. Come on now. Rebranding. I love it. I really do wish that we have more time because I want to talk to the listeners who are stuck on thinking that, you know, the last term that Trump was president, that was just like the era. Everyone's just focused on the money. Oh, he gave out checks. He did this, he did that. But then they're not remembering every other thing that happened during those.
Let's quickly touch on the stimulus checks. President Biden provided stimulus checks as well. Stimulus checks were delayed and denied because Donald Trump insisted on his name being on those checks. So the 1,200 they got was delayed by months because the U.S. Treasury had to wait and get a signature, the Biden-Harris campaign also provided a stimulus of $1,500. They provided PPP loans and relief to folks that needed it the most. So the Biden-Harris campaign was overwhelmingly responsive, got us out of the COVID pandemic, got shots in arms, got us back on the road, provided resources for local communities so that people could stay in their homes, that businesses could stay afloat, that folks had the economic stability that they needed when Republicans did not want additional assistance to get to the people. They didn't want money going to local government so that you still could get the resources you needed in your community. So we do need to dispel that myth. The Biden-Harris administration provided more financial assistance, and stimulus checks were provided by the Biden-Harris administration.
Come on now. Come on now. I love it. Come on, let's go. This is why we have people like Senator Murdock in the places where she is. She's going to keep it real with you. 100% going to tell you exactly what you need to hear. You may not like the truth because it sometimes is very, very ugly. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to face reality. This is going to be a monumental election. Make sure that you register to vote. What's the website that they can go to again, Senator?
Yes, they can go to I Will Vote to learn more about voting. And also we are hiring. You can go to ncdp.org to join the campaign right here in North Carolina. Also follow us on social at Kamala, Kamala FORNC on all social media platforms. Tag us. We want to see you all at this rally. So we want you all to take photos and capture all the energy. We had a weekend of action just last weekend with over 200 events. When you come and stop by our events, also snap a selfie, snap a photo, and be sure to tag us at Kamala4NC. Help us get those followers up.
Come on now. You heard it from the GOAT herself, ladies and gentlemen. Senator Natalie Murdock, we always appreciate you for stopping by. If you guys have any questions, be sure to tap in with on the socials that you just heard. We'll tag them on our Facebook Live and our YouTube as well. And be sure to hit us up at I Love Choice FM on all outlets. Senator, before we head up out of here, any last words for the people?
Just that folks have got to tune in. You know, and I'll pick on my group. So I'm an older millennial, and I know the folks younger than me want to tune out. You have got to be engaged. You can't assume, oh, if I don't vote, everything will be fine. No, it will not be fine. You have a right to vote, utilize it. People are counting on you to not vote. Please make your voice heard. No matter what you do, vote, be engaged. And through social media, you can be active. We talked a lot about the falsehoods that are on the internet. You can clap back with that. Our campaign will give you what to say on social media to say, actually, no, that's not true. So however you want to be active, you can be active. I know if a lot of folks want to plug into the campaign, there is something for everyone to do. You can be a digital ambassador. You can get with your friends to vote. You can get on the Reach app and talk with folks in your networks to get them engaged, and definitely stay plugged in on Kamala4NC to learn more about events, and also Democrats.com for all those national calls. They're for everyone, but you all cannot wait this one out. And I know folks are so tired of, this is the most important election of your lifetime. Again, with Project 2025, that's an extreme agenda they want to enact in 180 days. 180 days, the face of this country could change. So for folks that think their vote doesn't matter, right here in North Carolina, we can deny Donald Trump the White House. So we need you to get activated, bring 10 friends, call them up, send them text messages, your group chats, load that group chat up with this information so that people know why they need to vote, and be mindful of your early voting, your ID, make sure you get all that information out there. But we will have campaigns where folks can get that accurate information to make sure that they know how to vote and feel empowered. It's not a scary thing. You have a right to do it. Do not allow folks to deny you with your right to say how you feel about your government. A part of democracy is voting. And we also have to undo this culture of only voting for president. You need to vote the whole ballot. Your county commissioners and school board members, they are just as important as the top of the ticket. So vote the entire ballot. So start off, hopefully, by casting a vote for VP Harris for president, but work your way down that entire ballot.
Yes, please do. And do your research, please, ladies and gentlemen. Upcoming in the polls, we'll have all of this information and a bunch more available on our site, Facebook, and Instagram. Senator, we appreciate you for stopping by.
Thank you. And folks, keep up with me at Natalie FORNC. I'm posting campaign updates all the time. So feel free to send me a message. Keep up with me. And again, follow, and share Kamala 4NC.
Come on now. Last thing we do before we head out of here on the count of three, say peace to the people. 1, 2, 3.
Peace. See y'all later.
You know, it's the DOC on the People Station. Y'all keep it locked. Got nothing but more news and music for your head tops.